unfortunate beginning to this lift. Not really, but I'll elaborate. The gym I wanted to go to, actually my first two choices were both closed because it's the weekend. I forgot. 6 o'clock. A few of the favorites shut down early, Saturday, Sunday. Not cool. Not cool. So instead, third choice, still gonna be a good lift, but I would have, and not even specifically because of the equipment that was at the other two. Really, I just kind of, I don't know. I just envisioned myself at those two gyms first. So maybe I don't know. It's like if you have a certain way that you drive to work, and then suddenly Google Maps takes you a different way or something, and you're like, okay, this is still gonna work, but it's not how I usually do it. It's not what I would have preferred. But enough complaining. Chest. That's it. Reasonably heavy pressing, followed by maybe a back and forth of flies with some squeezing cable movements. I have one goal in mind. Well, a few, but for one thing, I want to keep my front delts unworked. I want to keep my front delts as relaxed as possible. For me, for chest, what I do, and this is partially because of my posture and also partially just because I'm kind of tight, but I'm kind of hunched. I kind of have a forward hunch to my stance. So when it comes to pressing, that hunch, having your shoulders sort of pulled forward in front of your torso a little bit, is going to make you push with your front delts. Which, maybe in a strength context could be good for you, but if I'm really trying to fire my chest, upper, mid pecs, I don't really want my shoulders coming into play. So that's something I've been working on for a while, is trying to really pinpoint my stance. And some machines are better than others. Like for me, usually a hammer strength chest press, which would work, would actually kind of, I do like it. I finish the set and I end up having a serious burn on my front delts. So that kind of leads me to think I should maybe lean towards movements which don't. So in terms of heavier free weights, incline barbell, fuck man, a lot of front delts for me. And even when I do it in a variety of ways, my elbows are a little bit more tucked in as of late. I've kind of, I think, improved my benching form. But even when I'd flare them out, fuck man, front delts were still firing. So part of the reason that my shoulders are a little bit overpowering is because of that. They get worked on chest. And it's not like my side delts are firing, but big front delts are going to contribute to your shoulder size for sure. So incline bench, incline Smith, except for incline Smith maybe gets thrown in a little. But yeah, incline bench is going to be out. I'm going to stay away from incline bench for a while. Incline dumbbell, I like it. Cables, love it. And then some chest presses, hit or miss. We'll have to see. So this gym specifically, it does have a chest press I like, but I might save it for a little bit later in the lift so that I can use a little bit lighter weight. Because when I really push it, a weight that I can manage, I'm not being a total ego lifter. I'm just, doing the set as heavy as I can go. Just the act of having that much load kind of makes me use any muscle that I can recruit that's going to help lift the weight, rather than just try to contract my chest. So, if I tried to bench fucking, 4 big ones, I'm not saying I can do that today, but let's say I tried to bench as heavy as I could for 7 reps, 8 reps, maybe, with a spot. I'm going to get a ton of triceps, shoulders, and chest, just because the whole point of the motion is to activate as many, fucking contributing muscles as possible to lift the weight. And I think I'm kind of starting to realize that I'm not a power lifter. So with some movements specifically, I think I need to limit myself weight-wise to a weight which is as heavy as I can go, but doesn't make me utilize other muscles to do the reps, you know. So when I do super heavy curls, and that's not maybe the best, when I do really heavy straight bar pushdowns, right, I can go pretty heavy, like my triceps can definitely move a lot of weight, but I can get to a point of weight where I start using my chest a little bit. So I think that should be a little bit of a key for me. If I start using other muscles, maybe back off on the weight, and then just hit failure purely, you know, contracting the targeted one, be it chest, back, lats, whatever. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on. I'm still going to try to go heavy, always, on heavy sets. But I definitely think, because that just, I mean, that goes against my approach, you know. Usually, what I say when I describe bodybuilding training is isolation, for the most part, is one of the biggest, you know, names of the game. If you're, you know, coming in to hit your chest and just absolutely wreck it, it would make sense. You don't really want anything else to be working too much. The rest of your body is resting and recovering from their workouts, and you're just giving chest special treatment. So those are kind of some things I'm trying to improve with my training. Because when it comes to stuff like cable flies, you know, not just pressing, I still get a lot of front delts too. So part of the thing, or one kind of cue that I'm trying to activate, is really pulling my shoulders back as I'm doing some pressing movements. When I do something like an incline dumbbell bench, I don't have to focus on that as much. Just the weight of the fucking dumbbells pushes my shoulders into that position. And on an incline dumbbell, I don't feel much front delt. It's pretty much all chest, which is good. But with some chest presses and cable flies especially, or no, pec deck, you know, pec deck flies, not cables, I need to really focus on pulling my shoulders back and really making sure that my chest is the only thing, you know, moving that fucking handle and not my front delt. So that's what I'm going to be thinking about mainly. But in terms of the sets themselves, you know, how many am I going to do? You know, we'll see. There's no specific number I aim for. I used to kind of do 8. I would say, okay, let's do 8 sets, and that would be good. Or I used to do 11, or, you know, whatever number. I think probably like 6 to 12. If you do 6 to 12 really hard sets, like you actually pushed it, you finish the workout with a pump, and you don't have to be sore to have had a good workout, but you know when you feel some muscular fatigue afterwards, like, okay, that was pretty good. I did some damage. I did some serious work. But 6 to 12, that's kind of a large array. You know, 12 is literally double 6. And it's not like, why I say that is because I do not think 12 sets is going to be twice as effective as 6 sets. Actually, I know that that's not the case. It's really going to look something more like a kind of a bell curve, where I think somewhere within that range, I'm not saying this for sure, but this is kind of, I would say this is generally accepted. People would agree with this. But individual, really difficult sets, be them very hard and heavy or lighter squeezing, I'd say around that 6 to 12, you should have done enough work where you've stimulated your muscle and be fully pumped. So those are the 2 things that I'm looking for. So if for whatever reason I did 1 set of like cable press or something today, and I felt like my chest is going to explode because it was so pumped, and it felt like extremely fatigued and worked, if that was what I felt for real, I'd say, holy crap, only a 1 set workout, oh my goodness. But I mean, that never happens. It takes a little bit more than 1 for sure. But by the time I get to maybe 6 or 7, and I'm doing cable flies, really burning out, squeezing. I'm just about as pumped as I can get, and I know I did enough work to stimulate some growth, which is not like a scientifically shown or proven number. Like, okay, I hit 7, that's perfect. I'm kind of just judging it based off experience. But I feel like I did enough work, and I'm fully pumped. I think I'm done. So that's sort of what I think about there. But a few heavier weight sets, some lighter squeezing sets where I'm a little bit more methodical, maybe some tempo reps where I go real slow on the way down, get a big stretch, or maybe some kind of quick brutish reps where I'm just sort of throwing the weight around. As long as you've got some serious tension in the muscle and you're actively contracting it, I think you're good. And I'm not under the impression that one style of set is absolutely superior to any other in terms of muscle growth. Like, if for whatever reason doing a super light cable fly and squeezing it for 3 seconds, doing 20 reps of that, if that's what built the biggest fucking pecs in the world for everybody across the board, that's what I would do. But there's across the scale of heavier sets to lighter squeezing sets, I think it's in your best interest to do an even mix of both, or maybe do heavy days, or maybe do lighter squeezing days. Whenever I bring that up, I always follow it by, as long as your sets are hard and you had a good workout in its totality, I don't necessarily care what kind of sets you did. Right? Just hit a side chest. Whoa! Right, that's what I'm really looking for. But let's park this thing, get started. This is a real yapathon on the way to this one. This is good for me. This is a responsible move. Usually, when I get to a weight which is close to the stack by just 2 pins, I would just say screw it and then jump up. But I really gotta say what I mean and mean what I say about picking a weight that's as much as I can do, but doesn't get my front delts involved. And I think this is just about it. So, one set here, and somebody brought this up. Whenever I do these cable presses, I always put the same leg backwards. I put my left leg back and my right leg forward, and I do them. And the comment was, Sam, are you worried about imbalances from that? And I mean, not really, because it's not like there's a lot of load on my legs or anything. But I like the way you think, because if every time you did like tricep pushdowns or something, and you had one body part out of the way or whatever else, the longer you do shit like that, the more some potentially small imbalances may build up. So I think this is okay, but maybe every so often I should switch to left leg in front. But it is just a little something. But if you hear, really squeeze hard, this is going to be a controlled set, not so brutish. And we'll see what happens next. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Might have been a little too heavy. Let's drop it for the next one. Whew. Yeah. Ah. Oh. Oh, that's why it drops that. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Okay. Whew. Let's move on to incline dumbbell. All right, so this gym goes up to 130s, but I think that's as much as I need right now, especially after those 2 sets of cable presses. My chest is fucking burning. So I'm gonna try to do a set, and this is highly, well, not highly inspired, let's just say motivated in a sense by the chest day I did with Samson. Because I mean, I hear this shit said all the time, like really hold it at the top, squeeze it, and then come back down for another rep. But actually doing one with him, I think, not that I don't like the way that I do dumbbell bench, you know, where I'm kind of staying down here, stretch position, a lot of tension, whatever else, but I'm going to try to make this, let's just say, more of a complete rep in these sets by way of really flexing just as hard as I can, getting a crazy contraction on top, and then coming back down. So out of character for me, but in the spirit of growing muscle, look, man, nothing's out of character. So I'm going to try a slow squeezing set with the 130s. I'm going to get chalk first. Oh, fuck. I don't know, I can't really squeeze that hard at the top. And that may just be me. I think one more set. This one will be a little more, let's just say, Sam typical, kind of quicker burnout reps, a little bit lower range of motion. I'll see how I like that one. But in either case, as long as it's a good set, dude, I know I'm doing some damage. But one more. I like that more. Let's move on to something else. Something about I mean, it could just be the nature of the movement, but with something like a dumbbell press, the tension just disappears on your pecs at the top. Because you gotta remember, I mean, even though there are dumbbells and they can just fall to the side of you, if you're holding them straight up above you and your hands are right over your shoulders, the dumbbells aren't really pulling you, they're just kind of pushing at you. Whereas with something like this, which just the nature of a chest press, but also the fact that it kind of converges a little bit, as I get to the top, the tension never comes off my chest. There's no break, really. Like, maybe a little bit if I try to just hold my triceps at the top, but I wouldn't be able to help myself but flex at the top here. So I think dumbbells, I like when they're heavier, more weight, more chest tension, and then it's just a movement which is going to kind of focus more so on the bottom part. Whereas a movement like this, the weight actually gets lighter as I come down. So even though I still get a good deep stretch, the weight is heavier as I'm squeezing at the top. So dumbbells kind of focus more on the stretch position, whereas something like this, for me at least, I'm going to feel it more as I burn out and squeeze on top. So a few here, then I'll move on to something else. I think, not that it's like meticulously thought out, but sometimes I like doing sort of workouts in twos. Like 2 sets of one movement and then move on. 2 of another, move on. But if I really like one, I mean, sometimes I've sat on one movement for a whole lift. Like, I've had chest days where it's like 6 sets of incline Smith or something. Now I go progressively lighter as they get weaker. And then I finish with like 1 set of cable flies and that's it. So, a lot of ways to skin the cats of whatever muscle you're training. Just make sure, like I was saying in the car, you finish fully fatigued and fully pumped. And then, I'm not saying if you do those 2 things, then you're gonna grow, but you're probably in the right direction. Let me pick a better song. Okay. That was a little more squeezing focus. Let's make the next set kind of more brutish. Go a little heavier too. Okay. Whoa, it's way too fucking heavy. Whenever I overestimate my strength like that, just turn it into a drop set. Yeah. Okay. Fuck. Okay. Let's move on to something. Not sure what. Full stack, not even necessary. So, moderately controlled reps. We're getting close to done. Whoa. Okay. Fuck this. Let's do 1 set of cable, and then that'll be it. In fact, that just isn't hitting right now. Alright, so the double cable stack, you know, typically used for fucking pec flies. One side is broken. Seems a beast came in, overloaded the machine, and snapped it. Cool for him, unfortunate for me. But instead of just picking a new movement, I still have kind of decline flies on my mind. So I think I'll just do one side at a time. So, I mean, it'll be the same shit, But instead of going here, I'll just have to, you know, kind of hold my balance and go like this. And then I'll probably go a 5-rep alternating style. So 5 on one side, 5 on the other, back and forth, until I feel like I'm fully burned out. Okay, I'll finish with presses. Yeah, one more. Okay. Okay. Not my ideal finisher, but tried something new at least. Let's go pose down. Let's go see what's underneath this freaking hoodie. So, not my most insane chest day, weight-wise, but I stand behind it. That was pretty freaking good. Feeling-wise, especially, a lot of squeezing sets today, which I do like. And also, one reason why sometimes I'll do a little more squeezing sets than normal is if I feel kind of, I mean, I don't want to say shitty, but yeah, kind of shitty. You know, if you're sick or so, for one thing, you're just not going to be able to exert as much force as when you're fucking, you know, in tip-top condition. So, you know, it's not all about weight either. If I were to come in here and do a set of 315 for, I don't know, 20 reps on incline bench, or next week come in and only be able to do 10 because maybe I like had a stomach bug or something that was fucking with me. As long as I still push it to failure, then, you know, as the trainee, fuck man, I did my job. You know, I pushed my body as far as I was able to muster it. And then, as long as you do that on a consistent basis, you should see your numbers go up. That's kind of why I sort of, I don't want to say talk against, but when it comes to progressive overload, it should kind of just be a passive activity. Like, you shouldn't have to really think about it too much, because if every time you come to lift for your heavier sets, if you feel stronger, or not even if you feel stronger, but if you push your heaviest sets, let's say for 8 reps, as heavy as you can go, then over time you should just get stronger. So it's almost like, I think things like progressive overload and, I mean, just training experience and getting more of a mind-muscle connection and actually be able to like pop your pecs and everything like that. As long as you come to the gym and you go hard and you're really thinking about what you're doing, you should just gain more fucking skill as time progresses. But no more chit chat. Let's see how the chest is looking. Good damn. Boy. So, very well fed today. Big ass breakfast. Half a pound of steak, 3 eggs, sunny side up, and some Texas toast, followed by a big nap. and then a salmon poke bowl. So like salmon, rice, all sorts of vegetables and stuff, and then 2 packs of fruit snacks, adding up to like, you know, holy shit. I didn't wash that hoodie. I'm covered in scuzz. Whatever. But yeah, fucking, I didn't track the bowls because I didn't know exactly how many carbs were in them. But if I'm guessing so far, like 500 grams of carbs today, which I think I'm seeing some of that right now. Oh, holy crap. So this morning weight was 254. So we're getting back. We're approaching 260 like we were at. So we've almost rebounded from that drop, that dip from the, the last month of kind of travel. So finally back in business. Oh, God. It's looking hard to hit a vacuum when you got a full stomach. But let's see. Yeah, plan now is go home, eat some more, then go to bed and get a good night's rest. Over the course of just the day, I seem to have developed a sore throat, which is kind of fucking annoying me a little. But what are you gonna do? Ideally, it will not worsen. Because, I mean, I'm still gonna lift unless I'm, like, sick as a dog. But the more stressed my system is dealing with something like that, it will hinder the gym performance. Which, not cool. Not super cool, in my opinion. But, oh yeah, I was about to say, squeeze schmeeze. I like squeezing sets. I like the heavy sets. Do an even mix. I always do this. I keep getting caught in the rabbit hole of thinking like, okay, I need to optimize my training. I need to really pick the right way to do it. And then I forget the fact that, wait a second. So many people get so fucking jacked in so many different ways. So how does that even work? If the answer is supposed to say equaling jacked, following our mathematical approach to life, right? 1 + 1 = jacked, or 1 + 1 = 2. 1 plus nothing else is not going to equal 2. You know what I'm saying? So I think in my brain, I'm kind of like programmed to think like there is a really perfectly proper way to go about it. When really, fuck man, it's all about just the effort of the sets, making sure each one's good, going hard, and I keep and it's not just like training's the only aspect of this sort of progress style thing too. It's all about rest, recovery, diet, making sure I'm actually in a solid calorie surplus. Yeah, come on. I'm losing sight of the big picture here. Go hard and then go home. There we go. So, yeah. Another month or so of keeping back out of the workout split. Just because I kind of want to give everything a little bit of a chance to grow and give back a break. So tomorrow is going to be quads only, which I'm pretty excited about. Not only because I'm excited about a lift in general, but quads only, I always enjoy it more. Because quads is a big, taxing fucking muscle group. I mean, literally the biggest and most taxing muscle group to train. So I think I've been kind of shooting myself in the foot by adding much else to my quad days, to the point where even once I add like back and even shoulders into the weekly routine, or the, just about bi-weekly routine. I think quads need their own day. I think that's the approach I gotta go with. Maybe just add hamstrings in with like fucking something else. Or, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I like training quads on their own. But I can talk about it tomorrow. We're still talking about chest here. Yeah. Yeah, I was starting to... I really overestimated my strength on that hammer strength press. Jeez, I thought I was about to bust out like 20 reps out of nowhere. And then I hit 3 and I'm like, holy shit. That's fucking heavy. Yeah. It I always forget how taxing squeezing sets are. Even though I'm not moving around like as much weight as I'm physically capable of for like 10 reps, just the time under tension, or just kind of consistent tension of the slow, good stretch, and then like a second, even half a second, just hold at the bottom, it takes its toll. It most certainly takes its toll. So, yeah, we'll see how that changes anything. But one thing I was trying to focus on with the pec deck, which I was doing it right, or at least in a way which took my shoulders out of it, and I felt way more chest. But I just don't love that pec deck. It doesn't do it for me. Not to be a fanboy of like specific gym manufacturers, but the Arsenal pec deck is pretty fucking good. Like, to the point where if I had that Life Fitness one and the Arsenal one next to each other in the gym, I would never touch that one. I would always do the Arsenal one every time. Just something about it. Maybe it's the strength curve or the handle or the seat, or maybe it's just everything. So that's one thing I like. I don't think you should be too picky with your exercise selection, just because you got to be able to train on whatever you got access to. But if you can get a hold of one of those, I think you're gonna enjoy it. I think you're gonna enjoy it a bit. But what I was saying was I was really trying to keep my chest up, and that's one thing like Fuad and Samson are always fucking telling me whenever we train together on chest, is really keep your chest up on it. And it didn't really click for me until like a few days ago, where now I really see, like, I've been doing my flies like this, and now I'm trying to do them like this. And it's not that I think that's like the proper way to do it, but I feel my chest more. It burns. I'm not feeling my front delts. Those are all positives in my opinion. So that kind of falls under the situation of trying something out for yourself, seeing if it works, and then if it does, implement it in your training, and if it doesn't, screw it. Repeat the cycle of trying something new. So I think that's one of the best case scenarios for us to be doing. Like, there's a bazillion pieces of information about training all over the internet. I'm talking Mike Ripito. I don't mean to say another Mike, but Mike Ripito. I may be mispronouncing that. Isertal. A billion specific niche training tips, to the point where I could never even know all of them, and they were all done by experience. Like, these guys tried some shit, realized they liked it, implemented it, made gains, and then told people to try it. But you have to remember that a lot of the shit where someone tries something that works for them and then it just gets out into the ethos, it doesn't work for everybody, So you got to remember, it can be a good starting point to take in advice from somebody else, hear what they have to say, really think about it logically, but just don't take it at face value. You got to actually see if it worked for you. And the unfortunate thing about weightlifting is it's not something where, at least in a bodybuilding, growth or even strength progress sort of scenario, you're not going to do something one day and then have it immediately give you a result and make you say, holy crap, that worked. Holy shit, that was an insane chest day. My chest tripled in size after just one night's rest. Looks like that's the way to do it, you know? It's kind of, you're not really going to see changes unless you really fluctuate your diet, like going from really depleted when you're dieting down to having like a refeed week and you fill up like that. Apart from a situation like that, you're not going to really see any difference, even really month to month. I mean, probably if you took a picture of yourself every month, you will see noticeable changes a little bit, as long as you are in a state of progress, be it growth, like bulking, or fat loss, dieting down. Like month to month, that's about where you can see progress. That's about where you can see if some shit is changing or not. And if you want to try a new workout split or a different training style or so-and-so, it's going to take a little bit of time to actually realize whether or not it worked. And following that logic, you have to actually do what you're trying to do for that period of time straight, so you can actually have a proper stimulus to see if it resulted in anything. Which I think is half the reason why there's so much discrepancy and like fucking, not even arguments, but just kind of discussion. But like, oh, what's the best split? Like, what split should I pick? What it's just kind of a lot of very arbitrary things about people's weight training gets discussed, and I don't know if that really was cohesive with what I was just saying earlier, but that's all I'm really trying to say. A lot of very kind of insignificant aspects of training are what get discussed the most and are at the forefront of people's minds. When, a lot of the shit that really works and is really going to result in actual changes, like your training intensity and actually taking your sets to a point of, immobility, like you can't fucking move, or how many sets should you have someone assist you with partial reps. Like I did, that was like 8 sets. Would I still do 8 full sets if I had a training partner with me? And on those sets of cable press, he assisted me beyond failure with like 10 assisted reps. If I had someone do that, making each set more intense, would I still do 8, or would I probably cut it at like 6 or maybe even 5? Like stuff like that, I think is a little bit more valuable to talk about. But then again, that's kind of more advanced info. So if I can implant anything into the minds of lifters around the world who are still open to being influenced about the way they want to approach their training in general and their mindset, it would be to seriously implant that dog in them, so they always push their fucking sets and they don't skimp out and they don't put the weight down before they're actually done. Actually, fuck, that's probably the biggest one. And doing their cardio. If every lifter across the world had those 2 things solidly ingrained and fucking, like embossed into their mind and their mentality with their training, I think we'd have some more beasts running around. And people wouldn't be talking so much about, what's the best workout split, or should I do the Arnold split or the push-pull legs, or should I do people would just be pushing it. But I think we're getting into a bit of a ramble here. I can tell I'm feeling rather tired. So, plan now is actually, fuck, I might even take a quick nap before I eat. But a combination of sleep and food before I actually go to bed for the night, that'll be perfect. Then legs tomorrow, well, quads that is. So I better get a good night's rest, because quads, and I've said this before, quads, not even so much hamstrings. If I'm not properly prepared and I'm not well fed and well hydrated before a quad workout, I'm going to feel it. And it's not going to be super fun. Like hitting a lift when you kind of feel like, a little shitty, it's not fun in general. But quads specifically, it's just going to be trickier to even seriously fucking push it when you're really tired, just because, fuck man, quads requires a lot of energy and a lot of discomfort, not only during the sets but also in the recovery between them. Like breathing during some squats or some machine leg press, or how leg extensions are squeezing, like stuff like that. So the better you can feel during your workout, the easier it is going to go for you to go hard. So that's kind of a reason why I always get a lot of sleep. Don't drink too much so you're hungover. So you're not hungover in the morning. Make sure you're nice and well fed and hydrated. Everything. I don't say that because I'm a fucking health nut. I say that because it's going to affect the pump. And the better that you feel subjectively during your workout, the easier it is for you to go hard. Because this is kind of a babyish way to say it, but we all have some level of discomfort, which is like our limit for the most part. And it's really difficult to push ourselves beyond that level of discomfort. I think the more experienced lifters who are really, they push it hard on repeat day after day, week after week, their discomfort level during the training is pretty high, right? They can take it. But if you kind of feel like shit, then, if a set gives you this much discomfort and pushes you right up to the edge, then if you already kind of feel scrappy, then this is only as intense as your sets are going to be able to go, if you sort of follow my logic. So all I'm saying there is, make sure you feel good, and then you'll have a better time lifting. So that's all I got to say. I'm fucking sleepy, man. So, I will see you tomorrow.